Hey everybody, how we doing? Hi. Well, I guess maybe some stragglers over there, so hopefully loud enough. We are extremely excited to have you guys here. We're excited for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is really great to get a bunch of developers in the room. This is where fun things happen. But I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but we basically had 24 teams and 50 participants, and that is not including the people that walked in today and said, gosh, we'll still be a part of this, which makes us the largest hackathon / shipathon that the state has had in the last 4 years. That is incredible. That's a huge feat. That's a huge feat that you guys made happen. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today just introducing ourselves and whatnot, but today's work day, we're just diving deep. We're going to get everybody rolling. My name is Scott Maloney. I'm the CEO of BowTie, and we've been working on this project for a really long time. I get the boring stuff this morning. I get the housekeeping stuff. So anyone who needs Wi-Fi, it's going to be a fact guest, and there's a password up on the board, so feel free to push into that. We've already double-checked it should be more than enough for all of us. We have some photo releases and some waivers for everybody. That's mostly just to say that we break out the overall and somebody who's high, it's not our fault. I imagine that won't be an issue today. So we're going to come around a little later and have everybody just give us their signature really quick. But apart from that, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the team so they can introduce themselves, and you guys can get to know who we are as we start working individually throughout the rest of the day. We have lunch coming like 12:30, 1 o'clock. Can't wait to meet you. I don't know why I'm protesting people specifically. We have lunch coming. We have some caffeine coming later in the day with all kinds of stuff. So we're really excited to get going. We're really excited to have you here. Guys, want to introduce yourselves?
Hey guys, I'm James, co-founder and CTO, and you'll hear the resource update from me today about what the site is, how we can help you guys I think I'll just be around here to help you guys figure out how to start and
Chad, I'm going to use my email you all, so Dr. Thank you for not saying. So, also co-founder, I'm a designer. Looking up online, I have a really young background in things and making things. I've also been writing code for at least half of you, so a really long time.
He's like a month or two older than me.
That said, I'm probably the least sort of developer in the room. So,
yeah, that's also the UI. That's also.
When we walk through the UI, I'll do that too. And I just want to reiterate, I woke up this morning messing with my phone actually, a bunch of videos too. And just looking at that. The first thing that popped up on Instagram this morning was this picture from somebody else's like computer science college that actually. Act like a champion. Act like a champion. It's like, it's not really kind of hackathon, but that's totally appropriate. Awesome. So I'm going to rebrand it. I just think we put this contest together because we really want to be back to what we've been doing. They are really good for us. And it's astounding. Obviously, we want to make a basement classes. It should be really fun. You know, we got 2 weeks to get something out, and good luck with it.
And whoever ends up winning the Oculus Rift James has already said you're your best friend.
Yes, I'm Dave. I'm kind of an unbeatable. I totally perchance sent these guys to hear Marvel one day, doing other tech things, and they graciously kind of invited me to help them out. It's really building stuff. So we've been kind of a technical advisory capacity for a long time, but like the first iteration of MVP stuff, and since then it's been, I have been helping them do as much as I possibly can. And I'm really excited to see when it'll take to take the build and awesome thing. So I'm also with DigitalOcean days, and so we've got a bunch of them. We've been literally wanting to use them if you can. And go to English with DigitalOcean or on both sides, feel free to that. They heard me talk a little bit about how to build MVPs that are really MVPs, and that's kind of fun. So I look forward to that. But the really important thing here for us, you guys, what we'd love is for each team to kind of give us 60 seconds back about yourselves, about what you want to do with this hackathon. And I guess starting in front, going back might be easier. So,
Yeah, good team representation.
putting every team in the front, then contractor client, which is MCR. We actually work at the start of this year and out there out here. It's a developer and also work with the start and out there. Front-end developer and also think of seeing that just so everybody has that in their head. You're or sold. Here on my own.
A lot of fun. My name is Lewis Sanchez, Chad Travis. We're a team that we really good at. You guys as well. I hope that's the case. Well, basically, we wanted to create something that's in Mexico. And you guys are all up and up. Didn't be back. And I just, you know, with you guys to show up and all that other stuff. Just so we can share some. That's what's going on. You know, it's really amazing that something like this is happening. We want to create, we like the whole paper stuff. That type of system, open that, incorporate some of your tools together. We want to surprise you. So that's basically it. We're excited to actually.
I'll speak if I can, like speak of surprise. It's on day all of the surprise.
So,
I'm Luke Graham. I work for a small company here in town called FBQ. There's two other guys. We do contract work for other people, making other people's stuff work. We want to get some using our own creativity, our own ideas, basically. I'm super excited about this because over the past few years I've come up with so many ideas and just played with it a little bit and just kind of fizzled. So this idea of having 2 weeks.
From CNM Science Center. Our team name is the Advanced Recursive Laravel Objects, or ARLO. And ARLO is going to be developed right now. If you ever have a problem, hey, you need to go see this thing. Now we're going to have a beta key that will Amazon on demand, Netflix, Google, whole range of services that are right next to it. Let's just have a queue line for those positions. Oh, by the way, I'm very honored to be a company that runs it. They were, we have a lot of support from current students working in it. I entered this contest because I love the BowTie, right? And now I have a chance to actually, you know, dive.
Double that with 11 online.
I also teach.
My business partner Josh is Andrea, but he's on our team. And my group, we build stuff for other people, and we want to do something. There's a client that has an idea that and they do the sales and we do the development. So we're gonna try it. So we've got I'm Tristan. So, so it's time to drop it in the lump something else. So see what we do next 2 weeks here.
Rob Carter from CNN and Construction day, and that means that I'm creating 31 individual pieces of art for the month of January. So I'm making these individual pieces of art with my iPad with a program called Procreate. It's my series is a series of imaginary creatures, kind of inspired by Orphan's imaginary creatures. So what I want to do is create a piece for my imaginary creatures, and then from there possibly allowing other people to kind of create a movie of creatures that are drawn. Possibly. That's those guys. Cool. That is good. Welcome.
Guys, my name is Scott. I'm a GIS analyst by day. Dabble in that. So really excited to kind of tie into different gas projects on the ground.
Eric is we're part of we're launching a side project that we've been working on over the last few years called Food to Watch. It's over the community and television recommendations based on movie as opposed to cloud filter. So we're looking forward to check out BowTie.
I'm Travis Kelly. I'm the same little coding as Scott probably, but just a few days ago I was just kind of helping spread the word about the shipathon, but they saw Pro Boys and we're going to do something in the medical marijuana and recreational marijuana space for
So I'm Zach Grant. We are doing 3 or J.D. We are alums, same class as James. We're here to deep dive class, so I think with Eric, so we're starting a little dev shop coming out of class. We've got a couple projects we're working on based that came out of the review hackathons. We won the first hackathon, and we participated last week as well. We're gonna try to carry forward those projects. And we've got a couple other ideas. We're not sure which one we're going to use for this, but we're here to check it out. So exciting.
I'm Samat. I'm CEO of another startup in town, iPod, formerly known as Kids Worst Nightmare. I'm here independently, part of a team quasi-Rambi Quasi-Dodecahedron. You can say that quickly 3 times fast. That applies for you. Background in systems engineering and web development, and I like to know how to make MVPs faster.
So we're all pretty ready to get started, right? The sooner we start and stop talking, then you guys can start hacking.
So real quick. So we didn't actually plan on much kind of building last time. I mean, it's like how many people will want to be participating? plan that right. Okay, because we'll have lunch pretty soon. So James is going to do sort of the introduction platform, and then we'll see, depending on the sandwiches arrive, we'll either eat, and then I'll show you how to do and give everybody access to it. And then the afternoon, basically freeform, we're allowed to have full space. People can start working with our software, planning your idea. You guys can just huddle up, ask us questions. We're always going to be around. And then the idea is like, go forth for 2 weeks and then come back on demo day. And it's going to be a huge party. If we don't get 500 people here, then we've done something for them. Just know that the 13th is going to be really good. We have a band, we have some food here from a couple of different beer sponsors. We're going to have cocktails. We're actually looking at that.
Yeah, some of our judges as well are reaching out to their members. That's
Yep, that's all fun. Thank you. Okay, we have some, there are t-shirts in the back. If anyone wants a t-shirt, have at them. We've got more coming, so look forward to 13. If you win, you get cool sweatshirts and are not going to order like this. So the nice American Girl sweatshirts is like the uniform of this family.
I've been an operator for a while. I've been building apps professionally at IBM for Alice. And then I got hired on for a company out of New York called Really Spot, and built Facebook apps and media apps for a company. And then went over to AppDay, where I helped build a software triggered transactions to get I built a lot of apps for myself or other people, and I always have to figure out how to do a whole bunch of things that aren't quite in the application domain. And so I hate doing that. Business aspects, legal aspects, email, infrastructure, it's really not fun. You just kind of want to focus on what the logic is behind your application. So then came BowTie. So the idea is basically, as you probably all know, stop repeating yourself. We wanted to build something that would allow you to really validate your solution, then write your solution, launch it, and then actually put it in the market and get some hard validation of whether or not it's going to work, but do that very quickly. Fail fast, and do it very quickly. So from my perspective, you got two parts to launching your business. You have your application, which is the fun part, which is if you're doing a beer application, it's the ratings. It's if you're doing a Twitter application, it's the database management, pulling all the different content in, fan outs. Your logic is really your core idea and what you want to see at the end. And there's everything else. That's your billing, your user management, your support, your design, your customer service, and a whole bunch of stuff that you really don't want to manage, your infrastructure. So your application solves a cool problem. You get to work on the design behind it. You get to make some cool flow charts, work out your architecture. You get to figure out how to scale it, and everything else supports your application. That's your analytics, your colors, your design, the pricing, customer support, branding, social outreach, blogging, content, you name it. That's the guy who does that for us. And then a few other things, got to make sure the legal stuff's set up. Application status pages, it's important that you've got that, SSL, email list, domains. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with launching an application. Every single time you launch an application that you've got to do. Your application itself, the core logic behind your application, changes pretty infrequently. If you have users who are experiencing bugs, you have to fix those bugs. If there's a security problem, you've got to update your software, make sure it's not vulnerable. If you have a new feature the customer's been requesting, you can add that. But generally, you've got a life cycle that's weeks, months, sometimes years. And then everything else changes very frequently.
You got a Twitter post about something that's misworded on your site, you've got to change it. You have style changes, flat design, modern UI stuff. Just every 2 weeks there's something new that really has to change in the market. And then results from your A/B tests. So they're going to change mainly the functionality that's presented to the user and not necessarily the actual features that you developed for your application. So BowTie wants to handle everything else, everything that changes quickly. We want to let you build your application out and not have to worry about the design as much, not have to worry about dealing with social aspects, not have to worry about status pages, not have to worry about anything but the core functionality of your application. So we're here to help do that, build businesses and applications, and make that faster, and both building and validating them. So I'm going to go into a few of the features that BowTie currently provides so you can get an idea of what I mean by building your application and what we can do to actually help. You need a URL for your app. You can start with a bowtie.io domain, and you can get that very quickly after registration, set up as many as you'd like, and then upgrade to custom domains. You need SSL. Today's world, at least in my opinion, and I've got some pushback on this before, but communication between you and your client is important to keep secret. It's between you and your client. You've got a public-facing application, make it SSL. And you need SSL that's configured correctly. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, different algorithms that you can use for encryption. So we make sure that we're on top of that, using the proper encryption algorithms, and you've got a call assist rating of A. And we'll keep that up for any website that you put together in our system. We'll manage the configuration of that for you. And you need version control. If you're not using it, I highly suggest you get into something. So we're using Get. We provide a repository for you when you create a new project, and a number of different environments and branches. If you've got something else that you want to use, there are several Get transformations. You can use SVN to Get, and you can use Mercurial to Get. But it's really important that you be able to track the history of your project and your application changes over time. Roll back when something goes wrong, figure out who's doing what. I don't think I can speak any more on that because it's pretty well covered everywhere else. Splash pages. When you launch a project, you're not thinking first about how you're going to get marketing attention for it. So BowTie generates a splash page for you. You drive people to that splash page. You can, even before you launch, have a splash page that collects email addresses and lets you collect analytics to see what kind of product you're launching, how valid the market thinks it is. Like I said, collect email addresses with your splash page, reach out frequently. We hope to have some great email management tools for you to use and list management tools. Email forwarding. You can set up email if you want to with Google Apps or whatever system you'd like with your own MX records. But most of the time when you're launching a quick splash page, you're just getting a project out the door, don't want to worry about it. So anything at your domain is forwarded directly to your project email account after you log in. In terms of service generators, instead of waiting 3 weeks for an attorney to get back to you, we do work with an attorney here in town, and we've generated several terms of service templates that can be used for for any goods that are delivered online, shipped goods, and combinations of those. User registration. If you're interested in a new framework or learning something, maybe there's a new language out there, Elixir, or you want to get back into Lisp, but you're used to Devise, and we've done a lot of Ruby on Rails programming, it's going to be tricky for you to get that user registration in your new Lisp application. We'll manage that for you. We'll proxy over to your application where necessary. We basically wrap your application. It's exposed on an HTTP port if you'd like, and we can manage users and password resets, all the good stuff. And the analytics are tied to our dashboard, so you get a really quick idea of who's in your app, what they're doing, and how popular you're becoming as you get rich. Different environments. You're going to make changes in development, you're going to move up to staging, and you're going to production. It's difficult when you're on the production servers to make quick changes to things that you might not completely grasp at 2 a.m. So it's we set up environments for you. There's a branch in the Git repository for each of these environments, and your domains are set up to track your environments. So you add a domain, it'll reference the branch from the Git repository, so it's content directly under there. Your project on the front end in BowTie is Jekyll based. So Jekyll is a static site generator. We add a few things around that, including policy management. We have an API for storage as well. Get into that in personal level if anybody needs to. Basically install the BowTie-IO gem on your system, run BowTie serve. That wraps Jekyll. So once you're in your project and you've run your project down, you should be able to build out a static site to your heart's content with user management and with access control libraries. There's a few examples here. I'll publish these slides somewhere so you can take a look at. There are Rails examples with a JSON API and an HTML API. The HTML API is basically a web app that just doesn't have any of the user management in terms of service, splash page, basically brewery listing, beer listing, and ratings for those breweries and beers. Here's my number. We're in the business of making you guys launch faster. Anything I can do to help you guys, seriously text me if I'm not responding via support channel or on email. You got 2 weeks to build something. I know it's tough. A lot of you guys got day jobs, so I'm around day and night if anybody needs any help or anybody has any questions. And that's that. So, anybody have any questions right now?
Do you have like exporting features as far as like, well, I have all these users and there's, this that's successful and want to like move it from one platform to another?
We don't currently have any export features. I will get you a manual export, whatever you need.
Okay.
I'm actually looking to see what you guys want to have exported, what formats would be most likely. So we are very new, and I don't want to build something that's not really usable. So
that's
yeah.
fine.
Anything else?
How is BowTie targeted towards non-technical?
Say what? Sorry.
How is BowTie targeted towards non-technical?
So the dashboard and the user interface that we've exposed on the web makes it pretty easy to figure out how your project is doing, what kind of visitors you're getting, manage users, do customer support tasks, and Chad will probably get a lot more into that aspect. It's really about trying to keep development of your project outside of that management role, so switching to develop, so you can basically split your team into two folks, like Patrick and Kevin. Kevin's front-end designer, Patrick's going to do the back-end. Or with our team, I would probably do development stuff, Chad's going to handle customer support. So he'd be mostly in the UI, I'd be mostly on the back-end and the Git repository and BowTie utility.
Is BowTie feasible for someone that doesn't have a technical side at all? Like, can it just be kind of somebody that wants to get a travel site, right? They don't do graphics, and they just probably want to grow a business, but they don't know anything about any kind of web programming or anything like that.
Probably not at this point without some assistance. We're planning on a template-based system that would allow launching of templates more along the lines of Squarespace.
Yeah, and you'll see that today, because again, from my perspective, expert is design. Our UI today will let you pick out a landing page, back to emails, domain registration, a lot of things that you see for a website but we're not trying to build a really big, sophisticated, robust website. We're actually trying to build something that makes a lot more sense if we're pushing web applications out. So that said, as we add more tools to the UI, we'll be able to, like, today our MVP, this is our MVP. It's very much focused on people that use it. So you'll see the way that I use it. I use a couple GUIs, to manage my Git repositories, but I do periodically it's not difficult to move. As we use the tool more and more ourselves, we're going to simplify it and make it easier, less technical. As James mentioned, one of the most exciting things I think that we're going to do now is we have the Jekyll structure. The Jekyll is really easy for static content. We have a landing page, and you'll see here in a few minutes when I go through, and then we've got Jekyll, and now the idea is like, well, I want to create a sort of core group of components that will let you build a number of different pages tying back into our application. So, pre-sales, for example, that may very well be possible.
And what about e-commerce? How much of a store architecture do you already have?
Also, so we don't have the web templates for it.
but everything on BowTie is connected already. So we have a Stripe within our platform, so you can connect in the existing Stripe account. And so a couple things we see on the Stripe front. Subscriptions and payments is something that exists. We're also looking at connecting those things into sort of like a user pipeline. So you actually get almost like a light CRM, something that developers can use. You can see, okay, well, somebody today signed up on my mailing list, and then I'm going to define like my next bucket for my user pipeline. In Stripe, we bought X, maybe trial time or something. And now you can see how many people move from one to the next, and then set up other buckets. So you can actually manage how fast they operate the business. That pipeline thing I described in there is right now. So you won't see it today, but that's just one of those things that really like.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember talking to Scott before about trying to set up the approvals for, say, credit card or things like that really quickly. Is that more targeted for like the stuff you're talking about later on, or is that something that developers can access right now?
Oh, just to be able to capture credit cards?
Yeah, because the more what you're doing is, like you're saying, you don't want to repeat everything that you do, right? And so if you even as a developer, not a kind of designer or user or whatever, you can go through and take all the pieces that are big pain in the ass of reformatting. And one of the big pain in the asses is getting, the ability to take Visa cards and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I'll show you. That's why we use Stripe. They're an amazing company. They're completely disruptive payments. Like they're taking off buttons. Basically, you sign up for a Stripe account in your interface, you click a button that says connect to my Stripe, put in a couple fields, and in 5 minutes you can capture credit cards. And they're leveraging part of it.
okay, cool.
And then we manage that it makes, that connection to Stripe works across our entire platform.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So I'm not familiar with Stripe. It's a separate company.
Yeah, Stripe is a company. They're a payments provider, but they're pretty awesome.
Okay.
And having come from a payments company recently, it's pretty hard to beat Stripe right now. Like, they just have all this money.
Okay, great.
Cool.
How does BowTie integrate with if we have an existing product with BowTie?
So do you have an existing front end for it already built out?
No.
Okay, so the back end basically you set up.
Repeat the question super loudly.
So it's so how does BowTie integrate with an existing project repository? So you have a back-end application proxy setting that you can use. So if that application is listening on HTTP port, BowTie will intercept requests to the resources that BowTie can handle for you, and then proxy those requests over to your system, and then back to the user. Or you can copy over your existing application to the repository. The PHP based or
PHP,
yeah. So you basically want to set up on DigitalOcean using one of the droplets that we're pretty much getting gratis for this, or wherever you've got it hosted right now, or you have it hosted there.
Yeah, I've already got hosting.
Cool.
Infrastructure, so it's dependent.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Is there an example app that we can kind of walk through?
Yeah, I'll walk through one with you.
Do you want to do that now, or let me enter the UI and then do it?
Probably do the UI first to get a good idea of like how it's working.
Yeah. So food has arrived, which is great. And I think what we'll do is we'll blast everybody invite codes. So you all know that our platform, like, you can't just sign up today. The person who registered the team will get an invite code, and for your project, use that user account to manage your project. You can add multiple keys. So if you have like 3 people that want to commit to the repository, you can do it that way. We're working on some better team management features within our platform, so then you can just add an email address, for example, something more akin to like Git. But I don't have any objection to people eating while I talk. So if you all want to eat, and then I can set up my the UI and blast up the emails, does that work for people? Like, there's food back there, there's drinks, and we'll make the switch. And then I'll show the UI. I'll just kind of walk through the major pieces so everybody can kind of see what's there. I'll show you a project site. The Springboard site that you all registered for this contest is actually built out of our platform. I'll show you that. I'll show you how I work with it, just to kind of give you a teaser. Then we'll get everybody their invites. James will go through his example application, and then we'll just cut free to work.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I just put a whole bunch of BowTie stickers on my back table next to the shirt, so put them on your laptop guy and have some fun with it. And for the truly hardcore among you, there's also BowTie temporary tattoos. And they are exactly as awesome as all of us remember from when we were 8.
Yeah.
What makes you think I could remember when I was 8?
I can do that for a sec. Okay.
Who's next?
Me. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, get some food. Get some food.
Hey, Kevin.
You guys want to remember? I think there's a typo on your homepage.
I'm not surprised, but
Yeah, our copy editor is Chad.
I am the worst typist in the universe, and
I'm dyslexic. For some reason, I still see that stuff.
that's freaking rad. Man. Is it on the Springboard site or the regular?
It's down. It's right there. Foreground down. Don't waste time. Build outside of your application.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, no problem. I just, my dad's an author, and I have helped him write books.
Yeah.
And you go through, like, he'd write some stuff, I'd edit it. We would send it off to the editor, and then they send it to a copy editor, and then you get the book, and there's still mistakes.
Yeah, totally. No,
It's
totally.
so hard to see, so I like it when people mention to me, hey, you didn't see this
I
thing.
do too. There was a time when it used to offend me, but then I realized like how bad I sucked at typing, and now I'm such a big fan.
So, hey, you're oh, I didn't see you. Did you see it? You only see the last 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. I think we're gonna get a better sense after lunch of how this all works, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll go into so we'll build things out.
Okay.
Make it work.
So do you, and you'll probably answer this, but how do you interface with the users? Do you have libraries that you, for the different languages?
So we have a JavaScript library for doing front-end stuff. And we actually send user information on the application. Where you can make an issue.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I'm excited. I mean, if this could be a huge time saver for us. That's all I know that is.
What we're trying to do, I mean, honestly, I have a lot of documentation to write out, so if you've got problems that you can solve, okay, just have to try it. And let us know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds really good.
Just in case you guys want one.
Sweet. Is that tofu? Did he really bring us tofu? Is this mixed meat? Yes, that's the best. Mixed meat is the best. I love these sounds.
I realized when I got here, I left my actual.
Sure.
I'm wondering if your system or your environment is compatible with .NET.
As long as your application itself is going to be through HTTP, we will wrap over the application.
Okay.
So the request will come into BowTie, and BowTie will send the request to your application, and then it comes back to BowTie and continues. So any features that we add to the system, we'll be compatible with it.
So as long as it goes, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So if you've got an application hosted in .NET, but it's got HTTP that you're accessing, we'll send a request from the user to you.
Okay.
And so we'll basically sit there.
Okay, cool.
It's a lot like Next CDN.
All right, thank you.
Scott gave me strict orders to interrupt your ass and serve people.
I don't want to mess up your camera. Yeah. I just want that much. That's all I want.
Can you throw a copy of this? After your talk, copy the slides up.
Copy of my slides or copy of your slides?
Huh?
Here, I'm good. I'll make sure you have this.
It's a Google, yeah. Okay.
I don't know what the sauce is. It's delicious.
How are we actually doing versus the agenda? I wonder.
I don't know.
I think we're out of time. Should be at first.
Take every little win, right? No pizza roll has a roll.
Yeah, I got one.
One of you guys said. You said? Chips?
Mr. Von Lakota. This is like quadrupled my respect for BowTie. Not that it wasn't high already, but you get Von Lakota to do the sandwiches?
Yeah. Best sandwich in town.
I get enough.
They are.
Like, could I get like goatdog.bowtie.io? Okay. I'll give you guys the first business card.
Crystal's up being with the one.
We're good to send.
As soon as I get those up there,
Yes, they all do.
First business card.
That's fantastic.
Dave and Christy taught myself to be professional and figure it out.
Only you like this. How you doing? All of this.
I'm just going to suck down another half sandwich. It's pork and water. Good.
Dude, number one is Kentucky Tacky.
Dude, the number 6 is pork.
Number one is ham, so same thing. This is the number one.
Have the number 1 here.
Oh, that's number 6. I got you. Oh, you took the, damn it.
It's been soaking. It's soaking in slime.
Probably more. Probably more.
We're gonna try the wedding dress or a baby dress, and we go in any stores kind of product. We were thinking about making some Philly things. I don't know the words, so we might do like premium hat, some kind of thing. I don't know. Should have figured it out. Come on, rails.
Crystal's like log 1 and 5.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, we'll be in good shape.
In my head, it's successful.
You really think that's like you're just sitting there and you're just for another 30 minutes with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna start stay on schedule.
I still have to.
Well, it's basically, you have to try to accomplish 31 different artists and then have one play next Friday. Whatever you're going to drop off is Thursday.
Nobody does anything but I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not the typical camera phone that people are using to take pictures of mediums.
I have a degree in photography.
Is that right?
Yeah, I have a Master of Fine Arts in photography.
You know, that's actually like one of my life goals.
Oh, really?
Is to do that.
Yeah, you know what it means for me is that like I can't just not own a fucking camera, which irritates the crap out of me, but at the same time, like it's great. And this is shoots video, which is nice. And over the years, I've amassed a good block of lenses. So this lens you can get pretty wide. I'll show you. You can actually get the whole room without having to even switch to like my wider lens.
No, I've been thinking about getting a 60 as a backup to my. I do a lot of portraits and weddings and stuff. I've amassed some.
I have two small kids, so I do a lot of portraits.
What's that?
I have two small kids, so I do a lot of portraits.
Yeah.
I know a couple of portrait photographers, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the '60s way better." So
Yeah,
versus
awesome.
the other ones I was looking at. So
I'm
pretty happy with it so far.
the difference between a full frame and full frame Canon or any full frame versus anything smaller is
Right?
But you put stuff online, you have it.
Well, most of the stuff that I do,
I'll have like one a day, but like
I mean,
I'll
I
go
do,
to the
like,
gas station
artwork.
and buy like a prime time.
and most of the art that I
That's
do
a
is
ball, that's
photography in
like-
some sense,
It's
but
like Newport.
most of the outfit's not necessarily
Yeah.
photographs.
Well, I smoke menthols.
So if you look me up, I always have projects going on, but it's kind of a lower priority than the business right now. But I know I've got an exhibition coming up in March in Denver.
Really?
A couple of big, there's an exhibition at this big art center called the McNichols Building, which is a big building like this. It's converted into like a public art space. And they commissioned me to do a couple of these big inflatable sculptures. I have this ongoing series of like gigantic inflatable sculptures. And I usually do one about every year or two.
Wow.
And so that's really cool. So I have to do one most of what I've gotten better much for is collage. I've done a lot of collage.
I was working off the 50, but now this one's
Yeah, check it out if you get a chance. I mean, it's fun. It's what I do. Not working in front of the
So what
Yeah.
happened was,
Yeah, just in the last couple of years, I've tried to get more serious about
there are some people
photography as
that I
art.
just double checked
Started
really quickly to see if
applying to open call gallery shows. I got a picture in the Albuquerque Photographers Gallery a couple of weeks ago. That's great. That's great.
And then our
About it.
Yeah, about the only place I put photographs is Instagram and Facebook. And mostly just the family. And then I shoot photos, like product photos, all photos for the website. We have like these photos of us wearing bow ties. And like, I actually made bow ties.
Oh, it actually, I thought your profile pictures were pretty remarkable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's
what I'm gonna do. Thank you very much.
What else am I going to say? I don't know. Talking to that's right.
Well, good for you for keeping it going in both of those worlds of this and sometimes I wonder if photography is too much of a distraction for what I want to do. When I think about what I really want to accomplish, What's too much of a distraction?
Photography.
You just got to figure out how to make it synergistic, you know, because, I mean, really, the way I look at making stuff is it's all kind of the same. You have to feed different sides of your brain in order to stay creative. And you have photography is great because it teaches you to look at the world in a very focused and concentrated effort. And man, if you're trying to run a business, you better be looking at the world in a focused and concentrated effort. And there's a good chance you should look at it differently than most folks, right? Yeah. And I think you've learned that.
And also, you know, as to that, like the creativity that just brings, like Chad is arguably the most creative guy in that every single time. Like, you know, we all have creativity that's in our particular domain, but we're just talking about brand new ideas, something fresh, something whatever. Like, I thought this guy's had more often than not. I don't know, I think that's a lot of because you look at the world in a unique way. One thing I realized not that long ago is I feel like my biggest problem in creating a startup is getting over my inhibition to say it's not perfect, it's good, but I'm going to go try it. Oh, and it's the same thing with my photography. It's like I come up with an idea, and I have to go out
I'm going to mention that when I'm talking.
Yeah, Travis and I keep trying to roll together. We just never managed to do it.
Are you serious?
People always shit on art school because it's art school, you can't make a living. The best thing that art school taught me is like, you make stuff, it's never finished, you put it in the world. If you don't put it in the world, and you
How will we do
the
that?
biggest fan, nobody else will love you. You know what I mean? But it's amazing what happens when you put something on a gallery wall. A lot of schlocky work is sold for millions of fucking dollars. It's, you know, but it's like, that's also business, like that's software, it's everything. It's like making at its core is shipping.
Yeah, I've had business ideas that, like I said, I couldn't play with, and then it doesn't get shipped. It gets played with a little bit. I'm just not sure if the market's really there, or I'm not sure if I really love it, or I'm not sure if it's different enough. Yeah. And with my photography, starting this year, 2015, if I get an idea of a picture that I play with, you know, like I entertain that thought for 30 seconds, I have to do it.
Do it, man.
No more saying it's not good enough. It's like, if it sucks, I'd rather have 10 things that suck and one thing that doesn't than just nothing.
That's great. I love it. Man, I'm glad we get this talk. It's really good.
It's fun for me to meet somebody else.
Yeah, I have this thing I'm trying to create an image every day, which I don't always do, and actually it's like art stuff that we do once a month. But yeah, for that same thing, it's always a numbers game. I mean, everything's a numbers game, right? The more you do it, the better you're gonna get. The more likely it is that you use.
How do I find you on Instagram?
Just Chad Person. If you like anything Chad Person in the internet, probably Google my name. Like I've been doing this a while, so you know I usually get first to that name grab.
I'll follow you once you're done.
Cool, man. That'd be great.
Very quick look, this is about to go out. Everything looks right. That's the test I just sent to you. Yeah, what, my computer's so big. I'm gonna send this first.
Especially like the shorts.
For vintage Converse with cards.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, my computer too. Exactly.
Alright, so it ended up being 49 recipients.
Especially the shorts.
Should go out.
Like, it's not so bad.
Yeah, 49.
Because it covers like here.
Wait, what? 49 unique codes?
It's like
Yeah, 49 unique codes.
Pretty good codes.
What?
When it's wet, it's like goes outside.
So we're all there. If anyone had already gotten it, I don't know, you know better than I do. I'm assuming that means it's going out right now.
You were up there. Tell your wife.
Do we still have an internet stream? Hello, internet? Are you still there? Let's hope so.
Where's the coffee?
Coming soon. And tea.
He's glad to get you here. I gotta go plug in on the other side just in case we get server bump.
Okay. In the interest of time, we're actually a couple minutes ahead of schedule, but I tend to talk too much and overshare. So if I say anything embarrassing, don't tweet it. So in the interest of time, I'll start the kind of walkthrough. Just so you all know, everybody here should now have received an email just moments ago that has an invitation code. Again, for the sake of the competition in your application, use one central user account and just share the login, or actually, if you're going to commit to the repositories, just make sure that the person who owns that login adds your SSH key to that account, and then you'll be able to do that. We haven't done the whole cross-account thing yet. Okay.
Yeah, you may want to repeat it at the end. Some people are still filing back in. I rounded them all up, but
I will. Thank you, sir.
yeah.
All right. So, BowTie. So James gave us a great introduction on the philosophy of the platform, and basically, I'll probably reiterate a lot of that. But I want to start just because I had this great conversation while I was trying to eat my sandwich. Oh, what'd you get? Oh, in the email? For the code? The code is actually just a numeric value that you have to put in when you sign up. There must have been a bad. Don't click the link of the code. The code is what you need to paste into the registration site, and I'll show you. I'll register an account.
That's what I did.
Okay. Damn campaign monitor. I don't tweet that. Okay, so I wanted to tell this story because I had this great conversation with Luke a few minutes ago while eating sandwiches, and it's part of the reason that I got involved with this project and why I care about it. And you can read my blog posts online and stuff, but it's this great thing. Luke was like, "Oh, I noticed you have a fancy camera." Like, great camera. I'm like, yeah, it's a fancy camera because I have a degree in photography. Okay. I don't make photographs and send them out in the world, but I make lots of things and lots of things that use photographs. And I have made lots of things since I was like a tiny kid. I really like making things, and I was really fortunate to get to go to art school because art school, you get a great degree that's worth a lot of money and you'll do really well in the world. Well, good news, I figured out a way, I'm financially okay, moving forward in the world. And the reason is because art school teaches you this thing that I think is super valuable that a lot of people I'm realizing, especially in the technology world, don't necessarily get. And it's something that entrepreneurs know, and probably everybody in the room has burning inside you right now. Basically, making is shipping, right? When you go to art school, you make a lot of stuff, and most of it's crap. And a lot of people like me make the mistake of giving that really early crap to their parents, because they're proud of it, and then their parents hang it up in their fucking bedroom for 45 years, and you're like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Okay, but the point is, art school is a cool environment because you're in a group of peers, and everybody has talents. They're all interested in making something. I'm going to make this thing in the world, and I'm going to share it with people because I believe this thing I have has value. And you're forced to put it up on the wall. Doesn't matter if it's finished. When it comes time to critique, it goes up on the wall. At some point, you have to have an exhibition, which is public. You put stuff out in the world, on multiple channels. You're constantly sharing your work. And what happens when you're constantly sharing what you're doing when you're shipping is you actually make some things worthwhile. And it's a numbers game, right? Like you have to make a lot of things and throw a lot of ideas at the wall, and then one of them is going to be valuable. But if you make that thing and then you don't share it with people, it won't be valuable because nobody's going to see it. You know, and then you might discourage yourself inadvertently from making the next thing and the thing after that. And soon after, you're like squirreling away with a bunch of ideas that you regret that you never actually shipped. So that's why I personally think that making is shipping. And yeah, so I learned that in our school. I think it's super valuable, and it's a big part of the philosophy of our platform, this idea that we want people to be able to launch their ideas faster. You have an API sitting on the shelf that you think might have value in the world, great. If we can be the front end of that API, and you get out in the world and you can show it to somebody and raise investment about it or inspire some folks to participate in it, build a team or build a community, like you just did something really amazing. You know, if you don't ship it, it could be amazing. So that's why I'm here. So that said, let me show you BowTie.
Here we go.
Yeah, so this is the MVP. I'll show you the registration page really quickly, just so everybody knows. So when you register an account, it's pretty straightforward. You will need to put in a credit card number. We don't have a bypass for that. You won't be charged. It's basically, you'll get your invitation code. It probably starts with like 36 dash something. You know, I don't know what it is. That'll actually give you access to the system. This is all you need to fill out to do that. I'm actually just going to sign into my existing account so that I can show you. This is the Springboard project. And this is going to be a pretty informal walkthrough of the tools that exist in the UI. But I also want you, and I'll show you a new project, and I'll show you how I work with it outside of the UI so that you can see actually what I'm doing as a designer. And then, you know, everybody else will get to fire up your projects, and we'll have that one-on-one time. So by default, very similar to what I was just saying, we're a multi-project environment. Projects are something that you basically pay for a la carte. We're still working on what our alternate pricing is going to look like, but the idea is like every project spins up a group of repositories. You can associate multiple domains with it. You get space and all the tools and features, etc. And eventually, I mean, we'd love to see people who literally kick out 10 projects on our platform. Today, when you all sign up for your free accounts, you basically will have one project in that account. Do we have the, we probably have the ability to add a second. You can upgrade your plan to add more projects, but we don't have like a la carte pricing yet. That'll probably come in the future. So this project called Springboard is one of 3. I just created a new one this morning called Fat Type in this account. If I want to add a project, you literally go to this field and I can start typing in my project. And let me see, what would my project be? Oh, how about making is shipping. So what this is doing is actually checking our system to see if you can get a hosted domain. And then if you throw one of the accepted TLDs, invalid request IP, let's see, .com, making is shipping. That means it's unavailable. .co is not available. What do we have? .biz. Not available.
I would skip that.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to check into that Namecheap error, that might be related to our network. Anyway, that queries out to Namecheap. We resell their domains. And you can purchase the domain while you create your project. So the project that I have, Springboard, is the site that you all signed up for. So on the left, over here, we've got account settings buried, and I'll touch some of those, and a link to our docs, which is outside of the application. Your main dashboard shows you just a couple of like key statistics. So you can see visits. These are my visits over the last week on the site that you all registered through. Subscribers and the number of people that have funneled their email through our email form. Users, I'm not actually registering users because I don't have a web application. I just literally set up a splash site, and then I'm going to add content to it. And I'll show you where I add content in Jekyll as well. And then actions. These are like your logs. So everything that actually happens within your repositories gets logged as an action. And we just have Elasticsearch, so we'll have a bunch of filtering on that so you can see all sorts of cool analytics and activities. And as we find ones that are valuable, or if people have ideas for like, oh, I'd really love to see, you know, how many people hit this file, or, you know, in this sequence, or whatever it happens to be, we'll try to expose those as widgets. and eventually have something where you can create your own analytics-based interactions. This is my clone URL. So this is how I'm going to pull files down from my Git repository. And then I have 3 branches by default, dev, staging, and master that we launch. All this is repeated in your project settings. So here are actually the 3 different branches. You can view these independently because obviously you can push your files to them independently. When you're working within the UI, you're always pushing content to your development branch. And then we let you do your merging at the command line, or I use a utility called GitX, which is just a GUI for that. We expect to put together a really awesome way that we can handle those commits and merges inside the UI, so that you can promote things across your branches. But that doesn't exist today. The website, so here's my Springboard website. So this is a pretty simple, this is a JavaScript-based WYSIWYG for the website. So again, you can view your site. So I can pop this open. Notice the dash development. This is the branch that I'm in right now. If I want to see my live site, which you all have seen before, take out the development. But by default, again, we're committing to development. You have a number of different options. There are global site settings. What is your site name? And I'll show you some of this stuff from a fresh site, so it's easier in a second. Descriptions, the email, we automatically create for whatever the domain that you register as the domain you're using for your branch. We'll automatically port anything at that domain to your email address that you created with your account. So if this one I think I signed up with Chad at Seedworthy, anything in info.bowtie.io gets ported over by our system. Anything at, Chad, this presentation is confusing at BowTie.io gets ported to my Seedworthy address. You can upload ICO files and include a Google Analytics snippet if you want. And also, I'll show you in Jekyll that there are some other cool things that we'll expose in sort of global site settings. So those things are global. And then the rest of this is pretty widget-based. And I think the easy way, it might be easier for me to show you one that hasn't been customized. But we have these different section panels. I'm collapsing them all, so you can see what they are. And the idea is pretty simple. So if I scroll down to, let's do my team. Let's mess with my judges. So here are the judges for a contest, G, Jared, and Alan. If, for example, we need to make a change, you can just type in here. Let me see what change I could make. One of the most widely recognized. Okay, so let's just say Alan is the most widely respected and knowledgeable leader in business journalism. Yeah, that looks great. Now I can go over here, commit that change, and now that's actually just made a change to a file, committed it, pushed it into my repository. And now I can make further changes, deploy that up to my master branch so that it becomes a live change on my website. But we did that with this GUI. So the idea of this is you could very quickly throw together a website for this idea that you have. And the core components of the website, and this is where I'm going to actually switch to a blank one, my Fat Pipe project. So this is a brand new project. I haven't actually made any commits. So something to note, and we'll talk about this again at the end. This is kind of the order of operations that we want you to start working with BowTie. You can certainly mess with your website. The moment that you create the project, your website goes live at your domain, unless you go in and turn on our maintenance mode, which if I dig into settings real quick and throw this maintenance mode switch to on, it'll just deploy a page at any time that'll replace your active repositories. So even if you've built up a really complex web app, as long as you don't wipe the directory for maintenance mode, flip that switch and it throws your site in maintenance and just gives somebody a nice templated site that says, we'll be back, we're down for maintenance. So you can use that, super convenient. Toggle on, toggle off. Actually, if I go now to my page, there's my maintenance mode template.
Yeah, when you were committing on that previous screen, what branch are you expecting to go?
I commit development. So my default development branch. Yeah.
Is there any custom branch?
Yes, and I'll show you that in domains. So you can create. I'm just going to turn that back off, and look, there's my website. Pretty nice, huh? One-click maintenance mode. I love that. Okay, so real quick, the website. Tried to make a relatively simple and flexible, basic kind of landing page template. So we start with the hero section. There are different layout options, image tagline. If you upload logo.png to your repository, that'll be your logo. Obviously, you can type whatever you want in here. So we're launching with BowTie. That pipe is amazing. I'll get rid of that. Call to actions are really straightforward. You put in some text. You can choose different styles. We wrap Bootstrap into our templates. So everything is Bootstrap based. So you'll recognize some of the class names, but it also makes it really easy to work with your HTML. And even in Jekyll, you can leverage Bootstrap. When you're building pages outside of our WYSIWYG, you can put any relative URL here. Each one of these sections that we created has an anchor. So this will go to my features anchor by default. Click that, get a little smooth scroll down to my, my features anchor. And then every one of the sections has a group of section styles. So you actually don't even have to go in really quickly if you want to just throw something together just to prototype around without having to go in and modify your style sheet and affect the theme styles. We've got a couple things built in. There's an alt style. There's a black style that affects every section and all of the text. There's a color style and a gradient. And you can also add background images if you want to. And let me see if I can see if I have something I can use. File that. So there's a background image, and you can even set them to parallax. So I don't know if that's visible on the screen. So every section works the same way. So again, like if you've got a little bit of content, you could toss up a landing page, ideally in a couple of minutes. Just commit and save any change. I'm going to close Hero and show you navigation. So we have two types of nav bar. There's the nav bar that sort of, like on the BowTie page, starts below your hero section and then slides up when you catch, or there's the fixed nav bar, which sits at the top. You want to put your logo file in there or whatever you want to reference the anchor back to your core site, and then you can add links. So if I want to add a link, I could just add a link to, let's see, I think agenda is something, and then do any file that you publish, agenda.html. And so now that's going to appear on your site. Oh, and I totally forgot. Universal, so navbar doesn't have the same section styles that we had in the other blocks, but you do also have the ability, if you're thinking about providing a different experience for mobile users, you can leverage the hidden classes in Bootstrap. So if I don't want this to appear on any screen larger than a mobile device, I can just toggle hidden class for medium, small, medium, large, and extra large, and you see there it'll disappear. This interface is actually responsive, so if I close this down, you can even play around with the responsive styles within our interface.
What's the definition for extra small and small?
So they're based on Bootstrap breakpoints. So if you just go to Bootstrap, I think, oh man, what's small? 600, and then extra small is like 480 or something, and I think medium's like 800, but they're pretty well established. So
768.
Yeah, 768. Yeah.
Bootstrap documentation does have all this.
Yep, and you can use any of their components really, really easily in our system because we like it. It's really, really nice for the front end. So your email form, same thing. So you get an H1, you get some sample text. Let's see. That pipe is coming soon. When somebody registers, that email actually gets sent into BowTie. You'll get a CSV roll-up. And then what we're doing is we're trying to identify what a great starting point in terms of a partner email application would be so that you could actually port that directly into your MailChimp or whatever it happens to be, like through an API connection. Ultimately, we'll probably have a few, but today I'll show you where the emails land. That's live and good to go. Again, you get I'm kind of partial to black. You get different styling in here. You can modify those classes. You set a countdown date. So if my countdown date goes to 2020 or something, which would be kind of silly, it's going to adjust your counter. Oh, I'll have to fix that style from NASA. Because has anybody ever worked on a NASA project? Okay, so, because why would you count down to 2020? If you're launching a rocket, that's a totally legit problem. You're like, oh yeah, our mission goes live in 2022. And they put these timers on their websites that are like, coming in 786 days. And you're like, really? But so clearly I didn't style for NASA. Okay, so that's your email form. If you don't want to use the counter, you can just remove the date and the counter functionality goes away. You just get a sign-up form. So, and a lot of this stuff you'll figure out just by playing with it. I just want to show you a few things that are kind of core. Features, so this is another one of those things where Bootstrap will be kind of helpful. So features is designed really, it's just a column-based layout. And we have two column-based widgets. One is features and one is team. So if I want to add another column, I bounce down here, and you have to set the column width. Okay, so this is one of those things where Bootstrap uses a 12-column grid. So you just choose your column class. Now I've already got two width 6 grid blocks. So I could create a third one here, and this could be my full width box because I'm choosing column 12. Or I could make this 4, and this 4, and this 4, and then everything will line up nice. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. I'm a big fan of learning by doing, so I'd rather have you guys play with this than watch me play with it. Subtitles, body text. You can upload your own image here that goes into that block, or we preload font awesome icons, so you could actually just throw a font awesome FA wrench or something in there, and it'll load the icon. You control the sizes based on your style sheet. So again, if you're like, oh, I want to do something that's, that doesn't take an image, and I can use these couple of font awesome icons, boom, 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 line up some features, be out the door. If you want to add a call to action, that's a simple button. These are pretty universal across every block. Red. Can't make it good, make it big, red, or naked. Another lesson for art school. Okay. Section. So just a generic section. And these you can add in between any one of the existing sections, by the way. So the other section just is called section. So this is basically like a hero section, but hero has a couple of different layouts for operating with a logo, for being like your sort of broadcasting plate. Here you can add images and basically, it's more malleable in your style sheet. The hero section, go back up here, is unique in that you have these different hero layouts. These don't appear in a generic section. So that's your big difference. Otherwise, the functionality is the same as what I showed you in the hero section. And then team, we saw team. These don't actually have to be round images, but the default style will round them. So it's kind of a contemporary appearance. So if you toss a photo of somebody in there, it'll round it. So that's kind of nice. Works very much the same way as what we saw with the column-based layout. You basically have your team members. If you add a new member, you choose the column width, lay them out. When you have too many, it'll break to the next line, etc. So if you want to put 25 people up there, have at it. That's great. Or if you just have 2, you can balance them nicely. Again, it's responsive, so it breaks on Bootstrap breakpoints. So on a mobile display, you'll get something pleasing and attractive. And then the footer, just to show you kind of what's unique here. The footer, we're leveraging Font Awesome and basically giving you the ability to just throw a social network up here. So I'm trying to think of another one that's in Font Awesome. I think, didn't I just kill Facebook there? Yeah. Oh, how about GitHub? Okay, so. What is our GitHub address?
It was the first one.
Oh, I had it in there already?
Yeah.
And that was the one I killed?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh, right, because I replaced it. I think we have a Facebook. Let me see. Anybody know the address for Facebook? .com? Okay, so that one's Facebook, and you can do like is it GitHub? Yep. I think they have a couple. And then choose the icon size. So I think these are actually all set to 4x. And now you've got a link in your footer to that social network, and you just line them up. So again, you can control the sizing here is default to Font Awesome. So they have different size classes, but you can override that if you want in your style sheet.
If you put your email in there, do you have to be mailed to, or do you just?
Like if you do a mail, yeah, you're right. Yeah, do a mail too. Yeah, yeah. So in fact, I think I could do that one real quick. Mail to Chad at BowTie.io, and then FA envelope maybe. Yep. Good question. Much better example than Facebook. Okay. Any questions on that you guys want to talk about before I move on to the next piece of the interface? And there's a lot of functionality there, but it'd be good to play around with.
Can you access the GUI directly through the code? PHP call or something like that?
You can access, okay, so you can't access the GUI like this, but you can modify the file that this outputs, which is a JSON file, and I'll show you how to do that. And actually, I do that a lot, so I'll just go into the JSON file. So actually, this is one of the things, let me show you real quick with Springboard while I'm in here. Okay, so I like to use Atom. So this is Atom. This is my repository for the Springboard website. And the file that GUI kicks out is right here. It's an index.json. And this shoves content into your index.html. So this is actually the HTML file, and you can see, like, here's the footer section. And there's the title that it inserts, and if the networks and what the networks are. So if I want to go in here and add content manually, I can just go in here, and here's the block that I'm going to replicate to add a new icon to the footer. And then I can push that through. I like to use GitX because, you know, I'm a designer. Here's my development and master branch on Springboard, and I could make a change. So if I wanted to do, I didn't actually commit that change, so let me do this. I'll just repeat the email example right here. Let's see, FA3X, everything's good, and then we'll do envelope. Great. Now that file is going to be a stage for my commit.
Can you push on the command line so that it's through the render process?
Sure. Let's see if I'm actually logged in here. Oh, I'm in that place. Great. And then development. Oh, yep. Sorry, got to rebase because I did save something, didn't I? Okay. File. Next to JSON. Oh. What is up with those crazy brackets not wanting to work with me? Yeah, I did. Should be fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I can demo the render to people who wants to get.
No, it's okay. It should work out.
Yeah. Sorry. I got it.
Really? Give me a break. Okay. All right. Well, the point is, you know, if you want to watch me rebase my my change, because I think I saved my interface, so I probably modified the JSON file and then you can do it either way.
If we don't want to change the JSON file, how do you publish?
Oh, you just commit it here. Yep. So two methods to accomplish the same thing, basically, but I'm doing them simultaneously. So Git's barking at me. Yeah, but that's not a big deal. Who in the room doesn't use Git? Okay, so just a couple people. Okay, good. Yeah. So you all know exactly what's going on. All right. Next. So users. Oh, I don't actually have users in this project because it's FatPipe. So you create users when people register on your website. So if I go to FatPipe, we deploy sign-in, registration, password confirmation pages automatically for every project. You can take those down. You can take them out of your navigation. You saw actually, they were. Let's see. Yep, they're in the navigation by default. You can remove them from the WYSIWYG, or you can remove it in your repository. But yeah, basically, the idea is you don't have to worry about that. So people can register through the application this way. You can add whatever content you want to. James will show you in his sample application how to do that. And once you register users, they appear in your roll-up of users. You can see information about them. You can also manually add users here in the UI. So if you've got somebody who's like, oh, I wanted to do blah, 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 or they had a problem, you can edit and manage your users in the interface, which is a simple thing to do.
Aside from just them creating their account, do you have something, a starting point for like account management where they can enter more information about themselves?
Yeah, that page exists as well. So if let me do it.
You don't have to show it right
now. Okay. Yeah, we do have. So there's a user account page template where they can modify their registration.
It doesn't currently set custom fields, so we're actually learning the best way to do that is programming the feedback on that. So if you do have a use case that requires documentation information,
So are you thinking of doing it as a separate table, like a profile table, or
possibly, yeah, or maybe just using JSON to serialize it. But yeah, it really depends on what the use case is going to be, what kind of things are. You also have the option of injecting JavaScript into this if it's really complicated to go to, but yeah, any feedback that comes.
Yep. And we handle all the emailing as well, so the system. We use Mandrill inside our application, so all emails that go out for confirmation and all that are pretty stable, which is great. And you get, you've got email templates that you can modify as well. So that's all created at the point that we deploy templates. Email list is the step before users. So if you're using the email sign up on the splash page, that roll up would appear here. So actually, I'll just show you one that has content. Go back to Springboard. So here are all the people that registered for Springboard. That email list. Pretty good. Payments. So this is where we have the interface to connect with Stripe. So you OAuth into Stripe. Let's see if I'm actually. Yep. Okay. So I'm not signed into Stripe. So if you're signed into Stripe, it'll just connect to your existing Stripe account. If anybody's not OAuth into Stripe, it's very simple. If not, this is actually the sign-up process for Stripe to enable you to take payments, wrapped right here. So once you do that, it returns you this page, and then this is where we're going to port information about transactions and things back into the interface. We go ahead.
I was going to say, what about other payment processors? If you have already just authorized on that account, for example,
you'd have to build something. I mean, we don't have, so out of the get-go, we've set everything up for Stripe. James, you can put it on your list. And
yeah, you could disable the structure or if your application already has it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you don't, and if you're using our proxy to get to user registration and that kind of stuff, and you don't expose fields that connect to Stripe, but your application is handling it, then you just expose what the application is doing. Legal, so this is the terms of service generator, so this is great. Read the disclaimer. I have to say it. So we've got downloadable content, ship goods, a social or software service app. So basically you can just choose your template, put in your company information, state, county, country, and then publish it, and it's going to publish a TOS file into your repository that you can then expose to your users. You probably want to customize it further before you deploy it. So we haven't automatically made it something that you just fill in these fields and deploy it, but you'll have a good working framework. Is that in Markdown? No, is that in Jekyll? That's HTML. Okay, so ready to go. And all of these have been vetted by a very, very good attorney who's steeped in startups. Backend application proxy. I'll let James speak to this more, but this is where you make your connection to your API for your existing application. So
BowTie will sit in front of the application that you've already mentioned elsewhere if you don't want to do a static application, use our API. And so BowTie will take a request from your user, DNS and stuff, point to BowTie servers, and we'll forward that request to your application, and then send that response back to the user. So we'll add a bit of authentication information for each request to hit your application. You can either use our JavaScript API to figure out the user information there, or you get headers from the HTTP request that contain user email, name, and ID.
Domains, so this is where you actually assign domains to this project. So again, all the settings over here are project specific. When you dig into your account settings, those are going to be global. So I can create and add domains, including additional custom TLDs to a given project. So any of the repositories associated with Springboard, if I want to go out and buy springboard.me or something, I could actually purchase that through our Namecheap interface and associate it, or if you already have it, you can associate it and then just point your domain over to us. So that's where you do that here. It's a really simple field.
If you're doing dev work with our client or something, you're doing a custom feature for, you got a feature branch, you can set up a BowTie domain, point to the feature branch.
Yep. And related to the question that you had, Dylan, about, can I expose custom repositories? Or you can do that here. So you just, if you've got a feature branch or some, feature super secret awesome new thing that we're going to launch, you just associate a particular domain with that feature here, and then you can give that away. You have to say you own it and that it's SSL. And then project settings, the main actionable thing in here is just maintenance mode. So if you need to toggle on maintenance mode, the rest of it's just information, email forwarding, your clone URL, etc. Real quick, because everybody's going to need this, I'll show you in the account. So you have your core account information, who you are, all that stuff. This is where you want to associate your SSH key. So you can't actually push to our repositories until you do. And it's, your public key. Everybody knows that, but we make mistakes. The interface should be really simple and familiar. It works just like Git. If you need to update your credit card or you want to change your plan, you would do it here. Credit card's really simple. If there's something wrong with your credit card or plan, or you hit the limit of things that you can do, or you're trying to add an a la carte service that's not available in your plan, you'll automatically be, I think you get directed to this page, told where you have to choose your plan. And then if you want an easy way to email us from within the UI, this will do it. Eventually, this page is going to be my hope's something awesome where we can expose all the features that we're working on and let people vote them up and down so we can put things out in an order that makes sense to people that are actually using our platform. So that'll continue to be it.
How do you add collaborators to the projects?
Yes, very important for today. So let me tell you a story. A couple of weeks ago, we were thinking, oh man, like we've got people that are using our platform, but we never get to see what they're doing and like thinking about and whatever. Wouldn't it be great if we could put a bunch of people in the same room and get them to ask like pertinent, pointed questions about what we're building and get that feedback? And we came up with this idea, Springboard. We didn't really think about, oh yeah, if we say that you have teams, we should enable a feature that lets people easily collaborate in said team on our repositories as a priority for said event. So today, this is your workaround. And thank you. Why do I always get the embarrassing shit? Okay, so this is your workaround. Every team has a you know, sort of like that representative or whatever, you fill out your team form, use that account, add your other collaborators' keys to that account, so then everybody can push the repositories. When we expose a better way for like working on multiple projects, it'll just go live and we'll send an email. Okay. Good questions.
In the future for billing, like Josh and I work together, would we have one account or would we have two separate accounts that we log into, but we'd only pay for one? Or is that?
That's another great problem that we will solve.
Okay.
I'm thinking the project owner would probably be the one who takes the project.
Yeah.
So you can add the number of projects under that account and then the other person.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have a feature request in buzzwords?
We haven't exposed it yet, but that's, yeah, I mean, it's in the works because we totally need it, you know, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, so we're just going to send you emails.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I feel like I could get something up this week, you know, so within the time frame of the project, new feature requests. Today, you get to make those feature requests and bugs reports in person.
And there's the Ruby client as well, is available on GitHub, so the applicant with both sides probably after the client, you can make a feature request or issue there. The BowTie-IO.
We could just use, everything and just kind of, we could just use GitHub to manage that.
Yeah. Okay, so how many people in the room use GitHub like regularly enough to be comfortable using it?
Super.
Who hates the idea of using GitHub to give us issues? Okay. We
Done.
just create a project called BowTie or like Springboard Feedback that you can create issues on.
Yep. Well, we have the Springboard project up, so yeah.
You got Springboard as a
Yeah, we exposed the Springboard project.
Yeah, so check it out. On GitHub, if you go to GitHub/BowTie-IO, there's a Springboard project there. Leave us issues there as feature requests. And that way also you can see, 14 other people already asked this. So you can plus one of them.
Cool.
I think we should all, like, if you have a GitHub account, we should all follow the project. And just figure it out. Like,
Yeah, great idea.
Follow your own issues. You can go over existing issues and make sure that you're not writing up the same issue that are.
Here's our project. First Springboard. Cool. One more thing I want to show you all, which is pretty cool and not yet exposed in the interface, but it's another thing that's coming soon. So we simultaneously, when we kick out your splash page, which you all saw how you manage that in the UI, we also kick out this Jekyll blog, which is really great, actually. So I've been publishing pages. Many of you have been to like the rules and format, and, project ideas. These are actually based in the Jekyll structure for Springboard. You can grab your URL, shove it back in the WYSIWYG if you want to deploy a page like I did with Springboard. Go back over here. For like format, for example, that's actually a page in Jekyll, right? So you can kind of move between the two. But if you're used to working with Markdown, this is my repository for Springboard. And you basically, it's It's just like Jekyll, except our wrapper has you run BowTie serve at the command line, and you'll see that when we start working. But then you can pull up localhost 4000, I think. It's in the documentation, and work with Jekyll like you would normally, do whatever you want in the Markdown. It's really great. Pulls all your project settings over automatically, so anything that you do in the GUI right now goes into Jekyll, transfers back and forth, and we register all the analytics. And one thing that we'll be exposing pretty soon is a roll-up of like, if you're putting out a bunch of blog posts because you're trying to build interest about your project or you're throwing out ideas or whatever, seeing like your core analytics on every post and what the permalinks are, and modifying those things within the UI. So just really kind of basic statistical stuff in the UI. You'll still do your Markdown in the editor. So where was my page for README? Yeah, so here's my idea. No, pretty simple. Who's used Jekyll? Wow, really? Who's used Markdown? Okay. Cool. Great. Other questions? Ask me the embarrassing ones. I'm good at this. Why do I want to use Jekyll or Markdown? I'm kind of surprised. Like, well, I guess, but you've used Markdown if you're on GitHub. Great. Okay, well, I think we are probably spot on time if there are no more questions. And we'll have, we've got the run of the space, so everybody can kind of get set up and start working, and then I'll make sure to, we have I set up a Slack group too that we could use for communication and link sharing and stuff. But does anybody not know how to find the project on GitHub that we can use for feedback?
You just grab one of those.
Yeah, grab any one of us.
We'll get you set up.
Yeah, we'll get you set up. But otherwise, yeah, there's plenty of food. Looks like maybe coffee showed up, and is on.
We have some other goodies showing up in the next half hour too, so sit, enjoy, work for a while.
So yeah, spend an hour, team breakout, go get your ideas ready, because we're going to talk about how to make them even more awesome at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, so spend an hour kind of getting accustomed, see if you're having trouble. We'll get you squared away. And
we'll be walking around, so just grab one of us if anything comes up. If you have questions.
Cool.
All right. Where is the current power situation?
I have one.
I'm going to, but I think the power's still in that room, right?
I thought we did, right?
In the green room. Wait, it was not in there? I didn't see it.
There's a power block on the other side of the wall.
So who brought one? You brought one or I brought one?
I brought one.
That one's yours, yeah?
Yeah, and yours is over there.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Thanks for bringing power.
The downstairs is available for all developers too.
I don't know, I just randomly grabbed it.
We give them 2 minutes to get tea, and then only 2 minutes for tea.
Yep.
So, I can see the white tea.
way better than that.
All right, people are still getting their keys. We've had some pretty awesome ideas today already floated about what we can do to help you guys better. So before I even talk about what I want to talk about, our documentation is now in the Springboard project on GitHub. If when you find anything that's out of line there, please, 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 they're open an issue, create a pull request, whatever. We'd love to get some feedback there. So it's just the BowTie-docs.tv in the Springboard project that you're already putting issues in as you find them. We already have a super, super awesome issue that the administration thing that Chad this morning is in there. I think that fixed right up for you.
Yep. I'm pretty sure the docs are completely up to date and everything is accurate. Everything you would need to know is in there. 100%.
Awesome. That's great. So, all right, public service announcement done.
He's lying. I'm lying.
Of course he's lying. You're creative.
So you start with that. Do everything else after that. They're so behind. Please contribute.
We're basically asking everyone here to build something new, something kind of crazy, and we realize that you all have very different timetables. Some of you will, you don't have a day job, consultant, whatever. You got some time off, and we're working 20 hours a day to show us how awesome you are. That's great. We love that. Others of you have day jobs, kids, family, and you have maybe 30 minutes a day to contribute. That's also awesome. Thanks for doing so. But both types of people have to think about something. What is an MVP? Who actually knows what MVP stands for? Everyone does. I'm not going to tell. All right, cool. Before I go any further, who am I? I did very badly earlier. I actually work with DigitalOcean. There's the DigitalOcean shirt. Software engineer there, building all the things you use every day if you use us. Also been involved with BowTie forever. I'm technically a technical advisor, because that makes it easier to try to actually figure out what the nice deal really does. Which basically means I do everything I can to help. And my background, I've been a consultant for a long time. I've worked with super, super huge companies, building crazy MVPs for them, and I've worked with two-man teams trying really hard to break into the market. And with both types of teams, I have the exact same role. Basically, my job is to say no, but I don't say it that way. I do. So before we get any further, welcome, thanks. Let's do a launch, because that's really important. Because we all want something at the end of the time that we're done. And how do we get there? Well, this is how I start my projects. Like, it's got to do everything, right? Like, it's got to send email. It probably also has to like call a custom car. And what's the service? Oh, it's a website providing T-shirts. Why are you sending email? That's a terrible idea. So don't start it that way. Focus. Focus hard on your MVP. That part is the most important thing. Seriously. Minimum. Really, really, it's a foothold. Whenever you're building a big thing, just like rock climbing, you can't climb anything in Yosemite without actually getting the first foothold, right? And it's funny how if you get one foothold, the second one's not so hard, but sometimes figuring out the first one's really, really difficult. That's the key here. So there's kind of some economics here, and we're definitely not going to economics talk, but there is a scarce resource, right? That's your time, it's you. You and your team only have some time to do things, and often in the context of building a startup, for instance, it's also monetary, right? But especially if you're running a startup, you're not the technical team, you're hiring a consultant to build your thing, you have two constraints, right? You've got time to market, and the amount of money you have to get that thing launched. And it's really, really important that even though you really want a whole bunch of things, you want to send email, you want to call Ubers for people, you get people on the site on something that works first. In that, within your constraints, right? So what is a minimum in this case? You have some product in mind, something you want to build, the portfolio site, or you want to like build some cool custom reservation system on how something's already working out. You know what that is, right? But rarely do we ask the question, what's the least it can be and be awesome? So one of the things I've often done is build I'm not a front-end person at all. Like, it's pretty bad. I kind of slap Bootstrap as hard as I can onto a site and use the right Bootstrap classes, and that's as far as I'm going to go. And then everyone goes like, oh, you're set up with Bootstrap. It's terrible. I know. And then I'm going to hire a front-end person to style it to make it look not terrible. That's going to be really important. But my goal is always to build a thing that works and is pretty. That's my side of the house. And then for the creative team, they do something that's pretty that doesn't necessarily work, and if we work together, we can glue it together. So, how do you decide what stays and what goes? How do you make that decision? That's the most important part of planning. Actually, yeah, no, powerful. Very potent word. It's actually really empowering. I've told this to every single person who's hired me, both as a consultant, as a sales engineer, and as a software engineer. This is my favorite word. And it's not to be pretentious or a pain in the ass. It's not no, because I don't want to. But when someone just says, like, you know what I want to build a new Facebook. No, you don't want to build a new Facebook. There already is a Facebook. You're not going to be big or gigantic. What do you want to do? What is it that differentiates you from Facebook? Focus on that. Now let's build the smallest thing that actually differentiates you and gets you in the market. No. Saying no is great. But then you still have to ask the next question, which empowers that person. You can't stop. So yeah, a couple of pieces of kind of strong anecdata about this. Just three, and I only have 2 slides for it. So
did you just say anecdata?
Yeah. It's totally not data, but it's based on anecdotes. I'm going to use it as data as hard as I can. Yeah. The thing I warned everyone they should always turn off notifications. Didn't do that. All right, so I used to work as a sales engineer at a company who had 2 big sides of the house. We had a native mobile app house that built both Android and iOS apps. Did not build Windows mobile things, although we're getting into that. And definitely did not build BlackBerry apps at all. But we also, I came from another company that merged, and we were a Rails shop. We're a Ruby shop. We built lots of Rails apps, right? So we were really good web developers. And the merger made sense because all the mobile apps needed APIs to talk to. So we worked really well together. But we still had people coming into the shops to just do web apps as well. And I was a sales engineer there, and every single time I got on a call where someone needed one of these, a native mobile app, the first thing they said is, okay, I need a native app for iOS and Android. Like, well, that's 2 projects, right? And they're big projects. They take a long time to build, especially to get it right. They take a long time. It means you need to have QA people for both sides, you need developers for both sides, you need creatives who maybe if anything is cross-platform, it's the creative work. Only maybe because they already have pretty distinct looking fields, right? You're probably going to build 2 sets of assets, either the same creative who does it. And everyone wants that. And it makes sense, right? Because you want to hit as much of your market as you possibly can on day 0. And as much of your market as there is, everyone has one of the 2, or whatever. Coming from the website, my answer was, let's build a responsive mobile app first. Build one thing, a smaller thing. Leverage location services. Leverage HTML5 native store. And then you'll have maybe 2 sets of assets to give even a native look and feel. One that makes it look like an iOS app, one that makes it look like an Android app on your app. And make it not so obvious to people that you're actually just using a mobile app. And once you have just a teeny tiny bit of market validation, people actually like this thing, then, and you get lots of users, then you can worry about native apps, right? Because there are things you can do with native apps you just can't do well today with web apps. We know that, like WebGL just isn't there. Right? You can do GL on these devices because they're incredibly powerful in a native app. So if you really need that, then you really need one of these. But if you really don't need those features, then build one of these first, get lots of users, and then make them super happy when you build the bigger thing later. Once you've got your gigantic round of deploy partners, right? That's the right path. Like have billions of dollars in your hand, then build the harder thing. So actually, this is terrible. I'm going to go like my other piece of anecdata, and I don't have a slide for it. Actually, kind of related though. I had a customer who, first we built him a website. It really was just a web app, and you could use it from those in the house, it was fine. And pretty quickly he realized that the security mechanism used in his industry was ridiculous, but it was a credit card basically that had a unique PIN for each customer, and they walked into all these other things that looked like ATMs, but were not ATMs, in these auctions. You put your card in, and they get to do stuff at the auction, and you get your card back, and it was like an ATM. He needed that for our web app as authentication. So that's super crazy, right? Like, how do you do that? Well, it turns out there's a few roads that you can build an iOS native app, and you can do these external like bezels that you stick your iPad into. That through the headphone ports, it looks like a square reader, only it's not nearly as sexy as a square reader. And you could slide your card, and they actually had a framework for basically passing it into the Rails app and logging into it. This was crazy. We built a native app on top of a web app to meet the need iteratively. First, we got the app working, then we bolted authentication. And yeah, it ended up being basically a NS web view
inside of, it's still just our web app, inside of this native app. And the native app's only job, because you could bypass same origin policy, was to pass the authentication second. It worked. It worked really well. By the way, it went to market. So that's kind of awesome. So what's my tip? This is actually, oh, and that's not even the actual address, because BowTie.io. That's super great. What's my tip was actually a project I started building before I even met Scott, James, and Chad. Years ago, a good friend had this idea that you know how bad service sucks at restaurants, but they still really want to tip and they do badly? And the only way you can get feedback is to be rude, direct. They don't know when they don't piss you off if they say something or they ask you. He had this idea that there would be like the red LED alarm clocks we have, only it'd be a number between like 0 and 1,000,000%. And every time they did really good, there's a button you pushed, the tip went up. Every time they did bad, push the button, it went down, and maybe you made a noise like or yay! So that you got really, really rapid feedback to the servers, right? Like, wow, you probably might need beer before you needed one. Boom, boom, 2 extra percentage points, right? Like, I asked you for a beer an hour ago, and every 5 minutes that passes, this number gets smaller. So I actually built this thing.
And you have it up on BowTie right now, don't you?
I sure do. I'm actually going to probably have some demo fail. We're going to try really hard. This actually, by the way, is a responsive app, and I'm sure there's a cool way in Chrome to make this look like it's actually in a web browser, or like in a device. Yeah, actually, I'll make it small. That's exactly right. The other one is the poor man's responsive. Oh yeah, it's using Bootstrap, right? Super cool. So this was, in theory, actually on your phone. I could probably maybe do that. Actually, you should pull up your own phone. You can get it. What's my tip? BowTie.io. Start. I'm a really good tipper, right? I really prefer to have great service. BowTie. Did I say it again? Yeah. BowTie. It's on the screen. So I'm a really good tipper, but you know, I got there and you kept not bringing me the beer I ordered, and you brought me a Hefeweizen instead of the IPA. Or they're both delicious, but I ordered an IPA, and it's still not getting here. But then you gave me a free burger, and then you were really good the rest of the time. You only screwed up once, and that's super awesome. So this is...
Man, you are a good tipper.
I am. That's really nice.
You got a free burger.
Yeah, right? So I'm going to make up that every single time. So the point of this is, I literally set out to say, what is the dumbest, smallest thing I can build? It turns out it's a little bit of JavaScript. It's a few font awesome icons. It's Bootstrap, because I don't want to do design, because I'm bad at it. And we're done. This is actually 3 files. So I'll throw in the BowTie and have something that works. But it started out as, of course, it has to be a native app. By the way, why does this have to be a native app? Well, because it's on my phone, and it's on a web browser, and like 5 seconds after I start the thing, my phone goes to sleep to save my battery, and then for me to show the server how bad they are, or good, I have to turn everything back on and do the button and hold it up. Again, this isn't going to market, right? My market validation was actually Scott, James, and Chad going, that's really hilarious, but I don't want to turn my phone on every 7 times. But, oh, okay, fine, cool, my project failed. But I got an MVP. That's it. It works. Oh, actually, I think I can do calculation too. Like, oh, hey, cool. So my tab was $1 million, and yeah, I have a significant tip. All right, that's really good for spending that much money at any restaurant ever. So the real question is, how do we build these things? And you probably already have some techniques if you work in companies building things or on your own for organizing projects. One of my biggest contributions to BowTie, I think, has been making a pivotal tracker, which is a nice project building tool. But you don't need something heavyweight. You don't need an online tool to start planning your things right. So if you're having trouble like organizing you've got your idea already, but organizing the steps to accomplishing that, I recommend using Canva. I actually have Canva at home. We'll talk about it a little bit. So it's literally this like super lightweight project technique. You look it up on the wikis, like the Japanese backstory, so it's kind of cool. It's very common in agile development, and it's just super easy to run your life with. It uses sticky notes and a wall. I guess actually I left one thing out. And a marker or pen or pencil or something that puts something on sticky notes. Blank sticky notes don't get you very far. But if that's all you really need, it actually looks a lot like that. That literally could be my house. I have one of those to make sure that my wife and I know what we're supposed to be doing. Need to get done this week and get done, like pay bills, or else we don't have lights. So you put sticky notes on your wall. Well, that's not quite it. They're prioritized by the location, top to bottom. Do the top, you get done first. Maybe the bottom, get done later. Do them in order. Move things up. And as you've done certain things, make more room for more things to do. So it's a really simple planning process. Literally, write down all your ideas, on sticky notes, actually, but in an even easier way, first use your text editor, write them all down, and then convert those to sticky notes, because it's much faster. You can realize some of them are done, never type them writing on sticky notes. Then one by one, with your sticky notes, just choose the one that's most important. The thing you absolutely can't live without. Like that's the most important thing for everyone. The next post, do it again. Just repeat. Keep it. Okay? And the cool thing is this is collaborative. You say the most important thing is calling Uber. Like, no, you're an Uber junkie. We've got a website selling shirts. That's not the most important thing is have an ability to get shirts. That first, Uber can be second, right? Like, and you can have that negotiation with your team or with yourself. Again, saying no to yourself is sometimes okay. So repeat this until everything is on the wall. Get them all up there. Now that you saw the dialogue, right? Even after a week, when you thought initially the most important thing was this, or the fifth most important thing was this, you can realize that's not the case. And changing that means doing that. Moving, replacement, super simple. So once you've done that, walk down the list. Ship the first one first, second one second. You can rearrange them, that's fine. But don't go, well, of course, Uber, we prioritized it to 900. I'm going to start that today. No, it's not the top of the list. If you want to do it, then move to the top of the list with the rest of the team. Be pragmatic and be ruthless. Pare down your list. Anything that you don't need to ship, don't do yet. Do what you need to ship first. If you get done within a day and you've got 2 weeks, then awesome. You've got your MVP built. Now build all the cool stuff. Now build Uber and now deliver kittens to your customers. Once you pare down the list, the very base things, draw a line. Take a bit of tape. Like, that's it. This is the MVP. This is what we have to get done. The rest of the things are gravy. We'll just keep adding those as long as we can until we run out of time. So now you've planned, how do we implement? Yeah, implement them in order. Just do that, right? And divide and conquer. Now, there's one thing, that there are going to be dependent things, right? That's part of the